Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. Today is April 4th and it's time to winter sow our tomatoes, specifically a bush determinate variety of San Marzano. San Marzano tomatoes come both as a determinate and indeterminate varieties. The indeterminate varieties are going to be a vining tomato that are going to keep producing all summer until the first frost. Where the bush determinate variety, like we're growing, they're going to grow to a specific height, about 3 to 4 feet, and produce most of their fruit in a 1 to 2 week window. So know which variety you are growing. Winter sowing uses some kind of jug, a milk jug, water jug, or soda bottle. This is a water jug, and I've added drain holes in the bottom. You're going to want to fill it with potting soil. I'm using ProMix Organic Garden potting soil, and I've already mixed it with water. The concept of winter sowing is that you create a mini greenhouse. You sow your seeds during the cold months, you tape up the jug, and you put that little mini greenhouse out in your garden. And when it hits the right temperature inside the jug, your seeds will germinate. And I'm following the schedule recommended by the Maryland Extension Office. They recommend here in Maryland waiting to sow your warm weather summer veggies and flowers until the month of April. Tomatoes are a tiny seed, but since they need dark to germinate, I will cover them with soil, but I don't want to drown them. So I'm going to lightly sprinkle on soil and then pat it down. The most important thing for tomato seeds to germinate is temperature. They require a temperature of 70 to 90 degrees to germinate. They like warmth. At the right temperature, tomato seeds germinate in 5 to 10 days. And that's typically if you're starting them indoors under lights. But since it's still cold, I don't know how long they're going to take to germinate outside. San Marzanos are an Italian plum tomato. They're 2 to 3 inches long with a pointy end. They're thick-walled and meaty with very little juice. They're excellent for making sauce and make a great canning tomato. San Marzano tomatoes are ready to harvest in 75 days. But when you read days to maturity, that's from the time you transplant your plants, not from the time you sow your seeds. So if you're buying plants, or if you're growing them from seeds, it's from the time you plant them in the ground. So it's going to be 75 days from that point. I grow food here in the heart of the city, in historic downtown. All my growing space is only 600 square feet. That's my entire property. So I don't need that many tomato plants. Plus, I'm allergic to tomatoes, and I only grow them for my husband Dale's pizzas, because he won't eat them fresh. So most of these tomatoes, I'm going to give free to my community. One of the challenges of winter sowing summer veggies and flowers is when you hit a hot spell and they germinate, then if you hit a really cold spell, those seedlings can die. So for that reason, either put those containers under fleece if you're getting really cold weather, or oversow your seeds. And that's what I plan to do. I'm going to oversow my tomato seeds. And then if they germinate and die from the cold, hopefully we'll have more that'll germinate during the next warm spell. Here in North Central Maryland, we plant our tomato plants out Mother's Day, mid-May. I will pot up the seedlings for my neighbors. So that's why I tried to space the seeds out a little bit to make it easier to prick them out. Now let's get this covered with a little layer of soil. Pat it down to make sure there's good moisture contact with the soil and the seeds. Now let's close it up and get it taped to hold in the heat and the moisture. It helps to start with one little bitty strip of tape to hold it closed. And this type of plastic is very thin, and it's more of a challenge to get the tape around it without leaving a gap. I've learned on these thinner jugs, it's easier to use 2 pieces of tape than one long strip. And write the name of your seeds. A garden marker is going to work best. It's not going to fade in the sun. Sharpie's not a good option. It'll actually fade. Let's get them put out in the garden. We need to go find an umbrella because it's raining and we need to protect the camera. Come back and check the progress of our tomatoes. I'm curious how long it's going to take for them to germinate. Thank you for visiting Withrow Urban Homestead. See you later. Bye-bye.